Hello, my dear students. Good morning to you all. Today, this class is really very important for you because in this class I am going to give you some of the very important instructions that you have to follow just to do well in the exam. And perhaps you are all of you are going to appear at the final exam this year, at the end of the year. So to do well in this exam is really very important for you to be promoted to the next class. If you want to do well in English, then you have to follow some of the instructions because 50% chances of your success depends on your examination skill rather than your subject knowledge. So I think subject knowledge and examination skill both are equally important. All through the year I have taught you about a lot of things to gain more subject knowledge, but today I will give you some of the instructions about how to improve your skill, examination skill in English. So just to improve your examination skill in English, you have to follow 10 very important instructions to do well in the exam, right? So first of all, a good presentation of your exam copy is really very important. Always keep a margin with pencil, and this is the first thing, and this will give a good impression of your exam copy, right? And then the second thing, starting to write your answers in the script. Then first of all, you have to write down answer to the question number 1. In this case, sometimes it so happens that some students write one long question answer and blah blah, right? So this actually creates a very bad impression among the examiners. So in that case, you may not get good marks. You have to underline this answer to the question number with blue gel pen, okay, so that it will look so good, okay. Then number 3, don't use any sign pen or marker, or of course not fluid in your exam script. It creates a lot of bad impression in the examiner just to give you good marks, right? So I think you should not use any sign pen, marker or fluid. Then number 5, don't write PTO or go to the next and so on, any kind of irritating comments in your exam. So you need not instruct the examiner to go to the next page. Examiner will automatically go to the next page. But if it so happens that you have turned over 2 or 3 pages together without being noticed, right? So in that case you can write down PTO, because there are 2 or 3 pages inside, maybe there is a gap, right? So in that case you can write down, but I think it hardly happens in the exam hall. So number 6, and the most important thing, right? Because always be careful of 3 types of mistakes in your exam script, because this kind of mistakes creates a very bad impression in the examiner's mind. All these 3 kinds of mistakes are: first one, spelling. Right, spelling, it's a very common characteristic of a student to make spelling mistakes, because sometimes it so happens that you go through, you memorize or you do a lot of things with your writing items. So first of all that you have to do, you have to read the text that you want to memorize or you want to keep in mind. Then you have to find out the toughest words and you have to know the meaning of them, right? And you have to be careful of this spelling, right? After that you try to keep in mind or you try to memorize or what you like, but be careful about the spelling. Then 3rd, be careful of the silly grammatical mistake. Suppose 3rd person singular number, it's a really very important 3rd person singular number or so. Yeah, you are writing in this way, he go to school, right? And this type of mistake usually is hated by the examiners. If you write this type of mistakes in your exam, then examiner will think that you are of very poor quality student. And this type of mistake usually you cannot avoid while you are writing fluently, but you can find them out. You should go for the revision just to find out this type of mistakes, because you know this type of mistakes very well, right? Then another thing about the use of the verb form. You know, verb is the most important word in a sentence, and if you be careful about the spelling of verb, then I hope it will come to a great use to you. Spelling of verb is really very important, and sometimes you are writing in this way, he is go to school, right? But here you are making mistake of the use of tense, structure of tense. So this kind of silly mistakes you often do, because unconsciously sometimes we make this kind of mistakes. We are not careful. We know it, but while we are writing, we sometimes are not very careful about that. So you go through your script, and then you find them out if there is any kind of mistake like that. If there is any kind of mistake in your exam copy, then I think your examiner will not be pleased enough to give you good marks. Okay, then seventh, one of the very important thing is that you sometimes make sentences from the table, but you do not give number to each of the sentences, right? A, B, C, D, E. In this way, you have to give number to the sentences you have made. Number 8, one of the very important instructions, that while writing a story, composition and paragraph, then you have to give a proper headline of that, right? And you have to write the headline and you have to underline it, okay? And you often make mistake in writing the headlines, okay? How you write down all in capital letters or all in small letters. First one you write down in capital, but all are small letters. But I am showing one headline of them. Suppose you want to write down the name of the composition, Aim in Life, okay? So you write in that way, aim, A-I-M, in, it will be in the small letter, but life will be in the capital letter. Aim in life. In this way you have to write down. Don't write all in capital letters, or don't write the first one in capital but all in small letters. Don't do that. In case of there being preposition and articles, right? So you need not to make them in the capital letter. Okay, so be careful about writing the headline. And then another very important thing, number 9, is that just to write a paragraph, you often you sometimes mistakenly you may make more than one paras in a paragraph, but be careful about that. If you make more than one para in a paragraph, then examiner will give you marks only for the first para that you have made, or the second para or the rest. It will be crossed. You will not get any marks for that. 9th, giving a suitable title to the story writing that you usually write is very, very important. If it is a fable especially, or whatever it is, so you have to give a suitable title to your story, and this title contains 2 marks. And I think if you don't give a good suitable title to your story, then it creates a bad impression in the minds of the examiner. So in that case, you may not deserve good marks. Okay. Is that just to make the rearrangement? Then you have to, first of all, you have to make a box. And whether you have to write the story or the rearrangement in a paragraph or not, it will depend on the instruction that is given in your question paper. So you read the question paper very carefully. What is said that? So is there any instruction to write or rearrange the story in a paragraph? This kind of instruction is there. If it is not, no need. Just simply write down the box. And if it is instructed in that way, write the story of the rearrangement in a paragraph, then you have to make the paragraph. Another overall instruction is that budget your time, right? So that you can complete it within the stipulated time. Okay, like 3 hours. And I think most of you write it or complete your exam within 2 or 2.5 hours. But I think after that, you must have a proper budgeting of your time, so that looking at a watch, you can clearly see that you are on the right time. Okay, so it will be very helpful for you to complete it in the right time. Last but not the least, that you have to go for a good revision of your exam copy. Most of the time it so happens that you make really hurry to go out of the exam hall so fast you can do, right, without giving any revision. But be careful about that. You sit down on in the exam hall cool headed, and then from first page to the last page you go through or read it, okay, carefully, to find out some of the very common mistakes, very silly mistakes that I have told you about whenever you are going to write the question answer. Most of the teachers usually look at the verb form that you have used. So if you make mistake in writing the verb, okay, or writing the right form of tense in writing your answer of the questions, the teachers usually do not go to the rest of them. Usually they give cross marks, or usually they give very poor marks for you, right? So be careful about the use of verbs, and because you know verb is the most important word in a sentence, and if you make mistake in verb, there will be no excuse, okay, no excuse. But I'm saying again, so be careful about the use of verbs, and I think if you follow all of these instructions, you must do better in your exam. Because one thing that is really very important that I want to mention it again, 50% chances of your success depends on your examination skill, and these are your examination skills. So I think you have to be very careful about that, and I hope you all the best so that you can get good marks in your English, and hope you all the best. So thank you very much.